Welcome back. If it has joined us, you're watching Channels Television, celebrating 21 years of professional broadcasting. This is the news at 10, a reminder of our major stories tonight. Bring Back Our Girls campaigners demand setting up of situation room to share relevant declassified information on the abducted Chibok schoolgirls. National Judicial Commission suspends 3 judges, recommends their dismissal following allegations of corruption and abuse of power. UNICEF raises alarm that 75,000 children in northeast Nigeria risk dying from starvation owing to famine in the region. And the UNHCR says over 100,000 people are trapped in a South Sudanese town besieged by government forces. A reminder here that all our top stories can be found on our website channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. To log on to m.channelstv.com to view us live on a mobile device and download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Besides the news and updates, the Channels TV app has an Eyewitness feature. Please use it to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Let's take a look at some of the pictures that you sent into Eyewitness Portal. We begin with this one. It shows these trucks held up in this gridlock along the Benin-Ore Road. Eyewitness reporter calls on relevant authorities to help end commuter suffering. Our next photo shows the aftermath of a road accident on the 3rd Mainland Bridge in Lagos. Our Eyewitness reporter cautions motorists to adhere to speed limits. This photo was sent in from Kado Estate Junction in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. It shows this commercial tricycle attempting to break traffic regulations. Our Eyewitness reporter wants such commercial drivers to be arrested and prosecuted. We see a broken electricity pole hanging loosely on the Lelewalji area in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. Our Eyewitness reporter wants it fixed to avert further disaster. Finally, is this photo sent in from Adetola Olaniyi Road in Ojokoro area in Lagos. Eyewitness reporter wants local council authorities to fix it and create drains.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
We're staying with politics. The Edo State government has criticized the ban on public rallies and protests imposed by the police. In a statement, the state's Commissioner for Information and Culture, Mr. Kasim Afebwa, described the ban as undemocratic and a breach of the people's right to lawful assembly. It is the state government's response to reports of protests against the declaration of the All Progressives Congress candidate as winner of the Edo State governorship election. Part of the statement reads, "There are no groups of persons or parties protesting in Benin or Edo State as a consequence of the elections. At any rate, if anyone or group wants to protest, the Nigeria police has no right to declare such rallies illegal or banning them outright." Mr. Febwa insists that what the police may have been referring to as public protests was Edo residents celebrating the APC's victory openly. And here's Linda Akigwe with more on the news at 10. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Amarachi. We begin with security matters. Nigerian troops have repelled an attack on soldiers after killing 7 armed militants at Ifutisigi in Bakassi local government area of Cross River State. The Army Public Relations Officer, Captain Kayode Owolabi, says the militants are members of a gang led by a notorious militant nicknamed GI. Captain Owolabi adds that troops recovered 250 rounds of ammunition, a rocket-propelled gun launcher and JPMG belt links. In a related incident, troops of 33 Brigade of the Nigerian Army at Meihari village in Alkaleri local government area of Bauchi State have clashed with armed bandits and suspected kidnappers. The acting director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Usman, says after an exchange of gunfire, the troops killed 2 of the kidnappers and rescued 4 women and a child. The victims have been reunited with their families. The troops have continued with patrols and raids on suspected kidnappers and armed bandits' hideouts in Bauchi and Gombe states. Meanwhile, the police is partnering with other security agencies and community leaders to stem the tide of crime across Nigeria's South-South region. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 6, AID Abubakar Marafa, told participants at a security stakeholders meeting in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, that crime can only be effectively combated when the communities support security agencies.
It's a meeting of security agencies, traditional and religious leaders, government officials and other concerned groups at the police officers' mess in Port Harcourt, River State. Top on the agenda is the need to close ranks with all concerned in the fight against crime.
Experience has shown that better results are achieved when there is synergy between the police, the other security agency, the public, as well as other institutions of the state.
Various speakers prefer solutions to the problems that criminality presents.
The problem we have is not that we don't know the criminals. We know most of them. In fact, our security people can testify that most of these boys are known to them. But the fear of arresting them, they don't know where they should be. So as traditional rulers, I find it difficult to use my walking stick to surrender somebody who has a weapon that's even intimidating the members of the armed forces. I want to appeal to the AIG, with all due respect, to use your authority to ask the federal government, any community dragging for chieftaincy, the 2 of the kings should be suspended out of the state.
In the end, everyone appears to be on the same page that all hands must be on deck in the fight against crime and criminality. Emmanuel Irei, Channels Television News.
Away from security, the federal government is set to disburse funds to beneficiaries of loans under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program and the National Women Empowerment Fund. The Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Mrs. Aisha Al-Hassan, told reporters in Abuja that the loan does not require collateral or interest from beneficiaries. The effect of the economic recession has no doubt left many Nigerians seeking ways to meet up with their needs. Government, too, is taking measures to reduce the impact of the recession on the people. The latest of this intervention by government is the disbursement of 1.6 billion naira for the Government Enterprise Empowerment Program. This will be done with less stringent conditions.
You may recall that during the Democracy Day celebration on May 29th this year, Mr. President in his speech made a proclamation of the sum of 1.6 billion naira for women empowerment. I'm pleased to tell you here today that the said amount has already been released to the Bank of Industry for disbursement to beneficiaries in 8 pilot states.
And that's not all. The minister also explains that another scheme targeted at assisting women to improve their well-being is underway.
The NAWEF program targets 10,000 women beneficiaries in each of the pilot states. An estimated 200 million naira is to be disbursed in each of the 8 states. The conditions for the loan, both under the GIP and NAWEF, are the same. Under both programs, each beneficiary will receive between 10,000 naira and 100,000 naira, depending on the type of business or trade, with no interest, no collateral, and repayable in 6 months. Beneficiaries have to form functional cooperative groups or local trade associations or other community-based groups of at least 10 persons per group.
while assuring that modalities have been put in place to monitor the utilization of the funds. Government officials say the loan is repayable in 6 months. This is to allow fresh applicants benefit from the scheme. Staying on women empowerment, the federal government has been asked to reconsider the Maputo Declaration of allocating 10% of its national budget for agricultural development. This appeal was made by a group of women at the grand finale of the second African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum in Lagos. Other demands they made include girl-child education, increase in investment in women, and access to finance, especially in agriculture.
It's the second day of the second African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum. Women empowerment advocates are not relenting in the call for government's intervention in the entire value chain of agricultural production, especially as it concerns women.
Providing financial incentive for girls to attend school is very critical. At the same time, we need to make schools more accessible by building schools closer to remote communities, ensure that schools have quality teachers, adequate learning and recreational facilities, and there are safe spaces for girls. We need to have more equitable access to resources for women in the agri sector, as these will make them more efficient means of promoting shared economic growth, reducing poverty, and improving food security.
Some of the women who spoke asked government to recognize women as leaders and agents of positive change.
Now, it is time we feel a project and a program can be built around technology that can expand and remove this backbreaking technology and give them a better technology that will improve. At least where I come from in Ghana, women farmers, they don't farm more than an acre, which is a football park.
The women entrepreneurship agenda seems to be a winning endorsement at the continental level. The African Development Bank is drumming up support for the financial inclusion of women in Africa.
With support from the board of directors, when a project goes to the board, one of the things that they look out for is how are you addressing gender. So that now has been internalized within the bank so that when projects are being designed, they address issues of gender equality and women economic empowerment.
After this passionate appeal for government to women, a front role in its agricultural master plan, what are the action points?
It's high time we walk the talk, make the difference. As we have seen in this discussion, there are 3 key issues. Issue of finance, issue of getting women have land, and issue of technology.
The rallying cry after this intense advocacy of women empowerment is for everyone to walk the talk and make a difference.
And that's all from Abuja. Back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Linda. The United Kingdom will continue to support Nigeria's move to diversify its economy, especially as the country finds its way out of recession. That's according to the United Kingdom's Minister for Middle East and Africa, Mr. Tobias Ellwood. Mr. Ellwood speaks about his country's plans for intervention in the South-South.
As a Minister for Africa, it's a real pleasure to be in Nigeria. My first visit to the country as the Minister, and also a pleasure to be in Rivers State, and also here in Port Harcourt. But it's a delight to meet Governor Wike, and we had a frank conversation about some of the opportunities and challenges that the Delta faces. Britain has expertise. We have skills that we can provide assistance with. We have huge investments in here through companies such as Shell. But clearly we could do a lot more, and as Nigeria embarks on a very interesting and new chapter with privatization coming in, with new markets opening up, the reduction in the oil price has meant diversification is very much a word that everybody is talking about. I believe that there is a bilateral relationship which is already strong that we can work on, and nowhere is that more prominent than here in the South.
Still ahead of the news at 10, Nigeria's stock market ends September upbeat despite profit-taking and bargain hunting by investors. We'll have more in business news. Do join us again.